Good evening and welcome to the show that takes a long, hard look at the serious news events of the week and then sniggers about the Heritage Minister having the word bottom in her name. Elsewhere in the news, recent footage from Baghdad reveals that Saddam Hussein has a personal deodorant checker. Disaster in a Milan suburb as Luciano Pavarotti gets a pogo stick for his birthday. And the Pet Shop Boys install an indoor pool for their personal assistants to get fit. On Ian Hislop's team, a columnist who last time he was on the show described his paper, the Sunday Express, as a haddock sheet, as a result of which he was severely reprimanded by haddock everywhere, Alan Coren. Now of the Times. And with Paul Merton tonight, a television presenter who was always determined to have the last word, and eventually Channel 4 saw to it that he did, Terry Christian. And so to round one, the only round so far to be introduced in that way. Ian and Alan, no little conferring.
Oh, hello, here's a cheerful bunch. Commonwealth leaders. Oh, a friendly Nigerian. Watch your neck.
Put it all together.
And you have one of the funniest stories of the week, I would say, which showed just how effective the Commonwealth is. Not. They threatened the Nigerians. They said, don't hang these people. The Nigerians did. So now we're not going to sell them arms anymore.
Can you mention any of the Nigerians we saw?
General Abastard is the leader. I happen to know.
Yes. And why did we see the Shell garage there?
Because they're rather hoping that, I mean, Shell are very involved in Nigeria, very involved, and they didn't protest about these hangings, and they could have done. And I think the lesson is, if you're going to dump an oil rig and a load of fish might die, then the whole of the West gets baiting. 8 black men being topped. Well, there you go. Anyway, let's get festive.
Yes, we like to start with the wacky stories first. It's the Commonwealth Conference in New Zealand, which has suspended Nigeria and its murderous dictator, General Obacha. Britain originally announced an arms embargo against Nigeria 2 years ago, which will be enforced rigorously, just as soon as Vickers have delivered the 62 British tanks their government needs to crush any democratic opposition. Good to feel Britain still has a role in the world, even if it is as a mercenary parasite. John Major was embarrassed at the Commonwealth Conference when the New Zealand Prime Minister reminded him that his father had been a trapeze artist. Not half as embarrassed as John Major's son is when he's reminded what his father does. Paul and Terry, a quick programme trail for you.
This Princess Di on Bullseye. And tonight's Star Prize. And that's Will Carlin.
It is.
And that's, I don't know who that is.
I see.
What he's actually doing was opening a new wing at Broadmoor. This seems extraordinary for a woman who's supposed to know about PR. What is it? It's the private royal family wing, is it? She'd be sure they'd let her go home again.
Yes.
Got out of Broadmoor. What I'd like to do now is have my own programme. I shall ring up John Burt, who went to her on his knees. How he likes it. Would you like to be on Panorama talking about the others? And she said yes, I'll have that.
And where's Charlie all this time? Prince Charles, that was the person you didn't recognise.
Oh, right.
She did time the announcement to coincide with something.
47th birthday.
That's correct. That's a bit of information.
Happy birthday, I'm going to shaft you live on TV. It's a nice present.
It's a hell of a present. And I thought they weren't getting on.
Yes, and who
They
is...
could do it during the National Lottery.
and who's
And the bonus ball is... Who's what?
It was just a current affairs question, really. It had nothing to do with what you were talking about. The programme is due to go out on Monday at 9:40 on BBC One, and the Queen has already expressed her outrage. She's a huge fan of Cracker. There have been suggestions that Panorama is a rather inappropriate programme for Diana to have chosen to discuss her love life. Most were expecting Rugby Special. The Princess is said to reveal how she never had a sexual relationship with James Hewitt, never phoned Oliver Hall, and never committed any indiscretions with Will Carling. It's going out in a special widescreen edition to accommodate the increasing length of her nose. asked for her views, Barbara Cartland said, I hope they don't ask her about her marriage. I'm very worried this interview will spoil things. Ian and Alan, same bunch, different banana for you.
Oh. Now, that's a man who gave up his country for the woman he loved. Country was the Third Reich, was it? He wanted to be... Oh, there's another Edward. There's Wallace Simpson.
It's like Madonna. So does that.
Now, that's the story about how he was going to be Kaiser Edward the of Germany, and wanted to be. And he said, come lovely bombs and fall on Slough, and Churchill said no. And he said, you don't understand. Hitler says I can be king if you let the Germans bomb England. And I don't know why Edward the Ninth is there.
This is about the television programme that's coming up. This whole programme is just a plug for other television shows.
Edward the Eighth.
Yes.
And Edward was going to make a programme as well. It was going to be called Edward on Edward.
Risky.
Snappy title. Yeah. And anyway, it's had its thunder stolen, because this programme says that Edward VIII was a bit of a fascist, really. And Edward's programme was going to say he was a delightful chap called Edward. Slight difference in approach there.
Yes, not entirely the same. The Duke of Windsor toured a concentration camp and an SS training centre, and also advised Hitler that only continued and severe bombing of England would make this country see sense. And to think members of the royal family are unpopular nowadays because they've got big bottoms or shag rugby players. Paul and Terry, another former national hero for you.
This is Gillian Tailforth. She's just been sacked as she's sacked, she resigned from the manager of Wolves. It's Graham Taylor who's been sacked from... Oh, no, he's not been sacked, he's left. They had a bad draw against Charlton, 0-0, and he went.
Yes.
So that's a big story, is it?
In the football world, it's pretty enormous.
Bloke resigns after 0-0 draw.
Yes, but
it's a great sport, isn't it?
You like cricket, don't you, Ian?
I do, actually, Paul. Yes, I do.
Yes.
Any problems?
Football. No, I'm just making conversation. You don't like football because it's boring, but you like cricket.
Yeah.
Yes, it is poor old Graham Taylor, to give him his full name, who has been forced out of yet another job, this time as manager of Wolves. Only one man has endured a losing streak as consistent as Graham Taylor's, and even he beat Paul Merton last week. Which Roasted Turnip blows the whistle on this first round, and a glance at the score shows that it's very much 6 of one, half dozen of the other, being as it is for all. Before the ever-changing face of round 2, the familiar old grimace that is our caption competition. Ian and Alan, this is yours. Paul and Terry, this, yours. And so we somewhat curiously welcome back our special, never-to-be-repeated one-off round from a couple of weeks ago, entitled Spot the Illegality. The teams are shown one piece of film containing a number of activities, and all they have to do is nominate which ones are breaking the law. This week we take a trip to London's Hampstead Heath.
Those trees are illegal.
Caravans.
Hanging. Wicked cloning.
Who's he?
He must be a cabinet minister, I can't recognise him.
Gentlemen? Yes, Cabinet Minister opposite. Hello.
Cabinet minister's friend.
Romping about.
Are they male? Do you know about them?
What's that?
Sackcloth.
Oh, yeah.
That must be illegal.
Yeah.
Even between consenting adults. That's a sheep. That's got to be illegal.
No. Barbara Cartland doing unspeakable things.
The Cabinet.
Walking out of doors is illegal.
Yeah.
No, I think Ashley is.
Yes, whatever she was plucking. It was plucking a goose, not a sheep, actually.
Right. Does that make a big difference in Hampstead?
Well, I think plucking a sheep would be illegal, wouldn't it? Bloody painful, isn't it?
I think it's the man not wearing the shirt, that's illegal.
Normally you can't wear the trousers, you can wear the shirt, you can wear... Yes. I think it's some 1334 statute about where people pouncing about in dresses. I don't think you can act.
It's a very good guess.
Ponce about in drag.
Completely wrong, unfortunately.
About it, isn't it?
It is the geese.
You can't drive the geese.
But they weren't doing anything.
Grazing geese is how it's put. And that's what you're not allowed to do.
What, on the knee?
But nobody was doing it.
There were, in fact, 3 illegalities in that film.
You can't get goose in the public lavatories.
No, I think that's obligatory. The training of whippets, obviously, is completely outlawed on Hampstead Heath, as is the repairing of chairs, which you saw. It's
I thought
illegal.
what he was doing. Why can't you do that on Hampstead Heath?
It's illegal, that's why. You get arrested. And the grazing of geese, although strangling and plucking geese is perfectly legitimate, apparently. There's a shortage of geese, apparently, this Christmas. Did you know that? Because it was so hot this summer that the male geese were unable to perform.
I've just been invited. This is not for transmission, but I've just been invited to something at Christmas, and they said where you will meet the witty Angus Deaton. So there are two of you out there.
I'll tell you the other things that are illegal on Hampstead Heath. They include beating carpets, sorting rags, selling turf, driving oxen, and practicing military exercises. Sorry if that messes up anyone's weekend. Right-wing Tory MP Alan Amos, or Tory Amos, as he's seldom referred to, featured in the film because he was arrested with another man in the area of Hampstead Heath known as Gobbler's Gulch. Obviously, he wasn't doing anything illegal because he was released without charge. After his arrest, Alan Amos left the Tories and joined the Labour Party. Consequently, many of his colleagues have turned their backs on him, but friends say he's making a good fist of it. Which means that this round is now officially adjourned, and the scores are as follows: that Paul and Terry are trailing hopelessly with 4 to Ian and Alan's enormous 5. Well, if you don't know round 3 is the odd one out round by now, you must be deaf, as I've only just told you. As usual, 4 attractive options. Which one's the share deal in today's newspaper? Paul, your fairly animate objects are Roger's Thesaurus, the new British Rail timetable, Ian Hislop, and Colin the Whale.
This must be a reprinting question, because the British Rail timetable, that's the one that was so badly put together they had to produce a supplement that was then full of mistakes, and then there was another supplement to the supplement. Private Eye, I had to reprint a magazine once when they realised I'd forgotten to put any jokes in it. And so Colin the Whale's never been reprinted. Not in hardback, anyway.
Roughly in the right area, but the wrong answer, I'm
No.
delighted to say.
So the wrong odd one out.
The wrong odd one out, the wrong reason, but apart from that, a perfect answer.
Private Eye has occasionally, through extreme bad luck, had to withdraw and pulp the whole issue for mentioning various people. One was Cecil Parkinson, terrible slip. Another one was the chap I don't mention till the trial of his sons is over, obviously.
So you can't even say Robert Maxwell. You're not allowed to say Robert Maxwell. You can't say Robert Maxwell. I met a friend of mine, Maxwell Robert. Did you say Maxwell Robert?
Yeah, easily.
Go on then.
I can say there's a fat thing that looks as though it's drowning.
But you can't say Robert Maxwell or Maxwell Robert or any anagram about Robert Maxwell. You can't do any of that.
No, I think I'd rather not, actually.
If I was you, yeah.
Yeah, ask him some questions about Robert Maxwell.
Are you allowed to say Ian and Kevin Maxwell?
Yeah, I just don't think I'll bother. It's funny.
It's funny because years ago, I went to court years ago. I can't say the word bagpuss.
I hate to seem irrelevant, but the answer to the question.
Oh, it's reprinting. The
Right.
British Rail timetable, there are 3 of them, because they had to reprint 3 times, because they kept getting the time of when the
Yeah,
train
I
would
heard
arrive
that.
wrong.
Yeah.
Which was fascinating. They're going to edit your bit anyway. No jokes in it.
Wait till we get the private eye.
Touche. What should I say?
Touche?
Robert Maxwell, Robert Maxwell.
I have to go soon because I have to shave again in a bit. It seems to me the result of all this must be that Roger's Thesaurus is the wrong one out.
Is also the wrong answer.
So Ian's the odd one out.
Well, I'm
Well, you
delighted
can
to
debate
say that
that.
no one has still got the right answer.
Only for our timetables, the other one.
Yes, you can't go through all 4 of them.
Oh, we've gone through 3 of them. It just seems a logical step. I'm sure that's what Robert Maxwell would have done. What do you think, Ian? Do you think he'd have done that?
The answer is that none of them have an appendix, except for the British Rail timetable.
Well, when you say it like that, I mean, with what fools we've been.
Yeah. Amazed that you didn't get it straight away.
That's
But
amazing, because that actually happened on this show. I was sitting literally here, and Mariella Frostrup was sitting here, and I had this terrific pain at my side. And then I got appendicitis.
Open your waistcoat and give us a look. Have you got a nice little...
No scar, I had keyhole surgery. It's absolutely brilliant. This
terrible
bloke
thought.
said to me, this is a centre of excellence. And he put his finger up my bottom.
It's a difficult enough operation without trying to do it through a keyhole. What's the size of the operating room, for God's sake?
British Rail had to produce an appendix when their annual timetable was revealed to contain over 1,000 inaccuracies. In fact, the only accurate page was the front cover, not a train in sight. Colin the whale, like all his whale chums, does not have an appendix because the appendix is chiefly designed for mammals that graze. Not surprisingly, the little-known grazing whale died out rather early in evolution.
Well, they weren't allowed to do it on Hampstead Heath.
That's right. Ian Hislop was suffering from appendicitis during a recording of this programme in 1994. Immediately after the show, he was helped out of his clothes and given an intravenous injection of opiates. But then you've got to wind down somehow, haven't you? Oddly enough, last week, Mrs. Anthea Bailey, owner of a pet canary, wrote in to say that during Ian's Jimmy Somerville impression, she heard a fluttering noise and a thud, and turned around to see that the bird had keeled over and died.
Terribly sorry, Mrs. Bailey. It won't happen again.
Well, no, it's said it won't, no.
Terry, you're next. Your Rich Brew, a tea urn, Boris Yeltsin, the SAS, and Colin the Goose.
Oh, that's easy. Boris Yeltsin, of course.
He's had his cigar, Nick.
Yeah. Wild geese.
SAS.
SAS. Goose, Colin the Goose, and Boris Yeltsin, who's something to do with Russia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Geese, the snow goose.
Right.
They migrate from Russia in the winter.
Yeah.
Right?
Just said I was on opiates.
Well, what it is that goose got stuck in a plane and the plane crashed and they was crashing. They thought, well, we've got to get rid of the ballast, so they chucked the tea urn out and that landed on Robert Maxwell's yacht. He said, what's that? Fell into the sea. And that's what Ian's trying to say.
Well, the answer is that all of them have been responsible for flight delays, except for the tea urn which held up a train when it exploded at Liverpool's Lime Street station and covered the track. Not normally a problem, except that they were the wrong kind of tea leaves. A goose nearly caused Rod Stewart's private jet to crash when it flew headlong into the engine, a selfless gesture on behalf of music lovers everywhere. This week, a French court ruled that British Airways must pay £3 million compensation to French passengers held prisoner in Kuwait after a BA plane stopped there to drop off an SAS squad. Boris Yeltsin caused an embarrassing delay when he was an hour late getting off his plane to meet the Irish Premier at Shannon Airport. His doctors explained that he was unable to leave the plane as there was still some alcohol on board. Alan, Murmansk submarine base, the city of Sarajevo, was Gillian Rimmer of Maidenhead and Colin the Fish.
I think I know Gillian Rimmer of Maidenhead. I only want, because I want to put the words Rimmer and Maidenhead into the same sentence. And I could enjoy it even more if I could add stopcock to it. I think Miss Rimmer of Maidenhead had stopcock trouble because he's in that Thames water area that was short of water. Sarajevo is short of water. And Murmansk submarine base clearly is, because the captain has just gone up to that one and said, dive, 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 and the first mate says, we have already. I think Murmansk is losing its tide. I therefore think that Colin the fish is the only one who has enough water, and I think the others haven't.
And almost there, it was actually the wrong commodity, if I can call it
Electricity.
that. It's too late, sadly.
Well, how can it be Colin the fish if it's electricity?
Well,
Because that's why he's the odd one out, you see. He's got plenty of electricity in there. Look at nice lights going, bubbles, bubbly, 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 all coming up here.
You're a bit late on this. You're bloody smart now.
Yeah.
20 minutes ago.
You wait till the edit. It's electricity, Angus.
Yes. We're not quite that stupid. The answer is that all of them have had their electricity cut off except for Colin the fish, it's a tropical fish. Murmansk submarine base had its power cut off in September after managing to run up a £3 million bill. Unfortunately, nuclear submarines go into meltdown the minute electricity is cut, so the base commander had to take over the local electricity board at gunpoint to restore power. A spokesman said they'd been within a whisker of a huge nuclear explosion. Even worse, he'd have to spend ages resetting the clock in his radio alarm. And finally, in this round, Ian, your four in descending order of dress sense are Harry Wu, Colin the monkey, Jean-Pierre the monkey, and Michael Foot.
Harry Wu is a Chinese dissident who's alive, so fairly rare. He was thrown out for spying. No doubt one of these amusing monkeys is a member of the French Special Air Services or is a spy.
Ah, I know it.
Well,
One
I
of the
thought it might
monkeys.
be about nuclear disarmament, because Harry Wu was in trouble for interfering with the Chinese nuclear program. Michael Foot has been a disarmer, and the French monkey has obviously been exposed to radiation because there's fearful boils over his neck and something ghastly has happened to his dick.
The French monkey, that's a reference to the Hartlepool monkey, isn't it? Is that right?
The Hartlepool monkey.
Yes. There's you know the story, I don't know, it was a couple of 100 years ago where there was a shipwreck and there was a monkey on board and the people of Hartlepool had never seen a monkey and they thought it was a French spy.
The Hartlepool.
And they had a trial and they hung it.
It's true.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it is. Therefore, who's the odd one out?
Right, he's been accused of being a spy, Michael Foot's been accused of being a spy, he's been accused of being a spy. It's got to be the monkey without the app.
Is the right answer. The Sunday Times printed a front-page headline, KGB, Michael Foot was our agent. The following week, they printed an apology saying it was never our intention to suggest that the Labour leader was an agent of the KGB. So they're obviously referring to a different Michael Foot then, Michael Foot, the retail tobacconist in Walsall. Colin the monkey has never been accused of spying, although, interestingly, the Sunday Times is preparing to reveal exclusively that he's the KGB's top man in Gibraltar. All of which double dealing brings us creeping to the end of this penultimate round, and the news is that, well, Paul and Terry are beginning to lose the thread with 6, whilst Ian and Alan have got it virtually sewn up with 7. And now the end is near, and so we face the final missing words round, our usual array of black oblongs, this week incorporating 1 or 2 headlines from our guest publication, the frankly somewhat dubiously titled Fancy Foul. So, stand by. Let's all what, says Lord Tebbit?
Go down the Strand, have a banana.
Dance.
Let's all dance.
No,
No.
you're thinking
It's a big clubber, I tell you.
you're mixing it up with David Bowie, I think.
Let's all be nice to each other.
Yes, is
What
the right
Tebbit
answer.
suggested.
Next, famous men in what?
Lady Di.
So he doesn't say much, but what he does say is libelous.
Famous men,
Chicken
who's
soup.
who?
I'll give you one. Poultry history is in fact the right answer. I had no idea chickens could what?
Vote.
Could be so much fun if there's new breeder.
In the
Good.
right- in the
Present
right
the
area.
word.
Be so beautiful is the right answer. Be so much fun, I suppose, is the nearest. Next, insane vicar who swapped what for what?
A congregation for a motorbike.
Chickens for choir boy.
It's not from Fancy Fowl.
Swapped his packet of ordinary washing powder for
Prosperity for poverty is a rather worthy answer. Next, I want to have what, says Paula Yates.
I think she wants to have something short and fat that she can love. And she thought of it. She actually wants to have a new baby. Having been unable to adopt this lot, she's going to get pregnant.
A baby with Hutchins is the right answer. A confession dragged out of her in the 7-page spread in Hello. Next, what record inspires Thatcher?
ELO.
Graham Taylor's.
it's Roll Paris.
It's not Roll Paris this
Two
time.
Little Boys, that's her favourite song.
It's Zatopek record inspires Noel Thatcher, the athlete. And finally, Blair seeks what in members of the WI?
Jam. Jerusalem.
Jam Jerusalem.
A series of items usually connected with the WI.
Yeah.
I thought he might be looking for them.
Moral
I
support.
could have said chicken if you like.
Is this Noel Blair the athlete we're looking for?
No, I mean, I was only astounded because Ian was right. Labour's Jerusalem is the right answer. Which frantic stabbing in the dark drags us gasping to the end of tonight's tussle, and the eventual outcome is that this week's cracked actors are Paul and Terry with 7, whilst this week's happy hookers are Ian and Alan with 11. So tickets for Golden Eye to our winners, tickets for a Golden Shower to our losers. But, before we allow them to swap shirts, there's the small irritation of our caption competition, Ian and Alan.
New Hugh Grant movie, One Wedding and an Elephant.
The man saying to the woman, for God's sake, don't get these pictures developed at Boots.
Paul and Terry, what do you think of this?
Man with giant saucepan on his head walks past a wall that's got a hidden magnet in it. It's my own fault, he told the press. Channel Tunnel started to heal up.
On which entirely plausible note we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Alan Coren, Paul Merton and Terry Christian. And I leave you with news that after reports of contamination in the farmland around Sellafield, the man from the ministry gives the area the all clear. The judge in the Miss Hasidic Jew of 1995 contest admits it's a difficult task. And the siege in the Clapham branch of Toys R Us comes to an end as the gunman finally gives himself up. Good night.